The following demonstration will give you an overview of the SDS2 main menu and job and fabricator options. First of all, in the main menu, you can see up in the upper left-hand corner we have the change project icon. You have previously used this to change your project, but here is where you change your project or create a new project. So in my case here, I'm on project 1 with your 9-digit student ID number. If you have a job repository set up, this is where that is located. If I go back to my default repository, and that is where you as a student, you're going to probably keep all your stuff, but you can set up a repository which will basically let you store the files, say on a different computer on your network, and it just basically creates a shortcut to that location. So I have one created here for my jobs. So here I'm currently in my project 1 job, so I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to hit cancel here to get out of here. Next is your modeling. We'll get into this a little bit later. Drawing editor, again, that'll be coming up later with your details, cleaning them up. Next is job contacts properties. This is where you can put in a bunch of your contact information for your contract, your architect, engineer, contractor, fabricator, detailer, erector, general notes that you want to put on there, and so on. And then next, project transfer. This is where we previously used this to unpack a job. You can unpack a job, or you can pack a job to send it off for approval, or to another detailer, to a erector, and so on. And status transfer. We're not going to cover this right now, just so you know where it's at when we do get to it, but there's different status options here. Again, we'll come back to this. This will probably be in the next course, the intermediate course, SDS2. Then next we're going to cover the reports. Again, we're not going to touch on a lot of these, but just so you know where they're at, there's different reports we can run. The system reports are reports that SDS2 has built in to the program that they have created, and all you can do is run these reports. When we get to certain phases of this course and the learning plans, we will come back to some of these reports. Next is the MRP interface. This here is where you can transfer out data to certain types of files: FabTro, KISS, SPN, EJE, FabSuite, Steel Projects, BIF, P2, and STRU MIS. We won't cover that in this course, but just so you know where that's at. Your miscellaneous options. This is where you can select members here. Since we don't have anything in the model right now, can't show you a lot of these, but when we get to them, we can come back to them. There's search options here, and a lot of these again are in the model. We can do it right from the model. You don't have to come back here to do it, but searching for failed connections, let's say, and so on. Edit piece marks. where you can combine and break piece marks apart, change it from user to system, and so on. Change options. When we get into the model portion, we will come back to some of these here. Say like from user main material to system main material, and so on. Update status. Again, I can't show you that right now. When we get into the modeling and drawing editor portion, we'll come back to this, show you how these work. Basically, here's where you can keep track of. You can use SDS2 more as a project management tool. Keep track of your job, where members are at, if they're model complete, submitted for approval, received from approval, fabrication. You can say projected fabrication complete, when it was released for fabrication, when it was actually completed in fabrication, shipping, projected and actual ship dates, erection, and so on. So SDS2 is more than just a detailing station. You can use it as a project management also. Parametric modeling, we're not going to cover that in this first course, but basically SDS2 has two say modules within it, the modeling and the drawing editor, and the third one is kind of parametric modeling. They don't have that stuff on the top here, but this is where you'd find parametric modeling. And your plugin manager, these are different plugins that SDS2 has to do certain things, like add in outriggers, stiffeners, safety cable holes, and so on. We'll get into them more in the second course. On the bottom here, the SDS2 Resource Center, you have your home button, which if you go onto that, if you're hooked up to your internet, it'll take you to Design Data's website. You can see what they have on there. Next is forums. Same thing, if you're hooked up to the internet, it'll take you to Design Data's support forums. You need a username and password to get on there. Next is their Facebook page. You can go on there and see what information they have posted on Facebook. Their release notes. This gives you all the information as they come up with a new release to fix any bugs or new enhancements. Gives you all the information on what they have done since a previous version. Chat with support. Currently, right now, they're not available, so it says please leave a message. But if they're available, you could pick if you want to chat with support or sales, and if they're available, you can chat with them. Go-to meeting. This here is very helpful if you have any issues and you need to talk to support. You call them and talk to them. If they need to see your screen and kind of see what's going on, you can set up this, go to this go-to meeting. They'll set up an ID and they'll be able to look at your screen and see what is going on. Next, let's skip the documentation here a little bit. About SDS2, that gives all the contact information for Design Data, their email, support numbers, mailing address. Also tells you what product you're using, which version you're using. And then the last item here, the documentation. This has been previously discussed, but this is where you find your help menu. Basically anything you have a question on. So as we're going through this main menu, you can come back here and let's just say we haven't got to it yet, but drawing conversion. It'll take you to that and tell you what drawing conversion is about and how to use it. Okay, next is import export, or let's go to project information. This here, we'll come back to this a little bit later since we don't have anything into our model, but here, again, this is where you can use SDS2 as a project management tool. You can have it tell you all the members in a job, certain sequences, certain zones that you set up, and then as you have members in your model and you set certain statuses on there, say like ones that are on sheets, ones that are detailed checked, model complete, you hit the refresh button here and it'll tell you the counts, the tons, and the percentage of them. Since we don't have anything in our model yet, everything comes up as 0. You use it for detailing, for approval, different approval statuses, fabricator. If it's on release for fabrication, fabrication complete, shipped. Same thing with the erector. If it's erected at the site, rejected steel, shipped, and BIM information. Next, import export. You can see some of these items are grayed out on our screen. The student version that we have, or if you were a detailer, fabricator that has purchased SDS2, there's certain items that you need to pay extra for, and if you don't use them, they turn them off. So here, design length is turned off, but that is where we could import a model from an engineer. So you as the detailer do not have to punch in all the information, all the beams and columns into the model. It'll bring that into the model, and that'll cut down on your modeling time. Model link lets you export your model into certain file formats, VRML, and other formats here. Again, I'll ask you where you want to send it to. CNC information for a fabricator. Again, that's grayed out, so I can't really show you that, but if you want to know more information on that, you can go to your help menu and click on that, and that'll tell you what that does. It's more for the, again, for the fabricator to download information to their machines, to their drill lines, punch lines, burn tables, and so on. Plotting is pretty much plotting. Again, we don't have anything in our model or drawing editor, so I can't show you that right now. We'll come back to that. And PDF drawing export, same as plotting. Don't have anything in there, so right now I cannot show you that. And drawing conversion, again, that is grayed out. That is for converting drawings to, say you want to send all your drawings out, export them out as a DXF so you could view them in AutoCAD. You have that option. Next is process and detail. Process and create solids. that is for the modeling portion. We'll get to that when we get into the modeling. Detailing members, that will cover that when we get into the drawing editor portion. Same with detail submaterial, detail sheet auto loading, detail erection views, detail member groups, and gather sheet auto loading. We'll cover all this information here when we get into the modeling portion and the drawing editor. Okay, setup utility. I'm going to do these kind of in a backwards order here, but utility functions. This is where you can copy information, delete information, rename information. So let's just say copy job standards. Say if when you set up your job you forget to copy from a previous job, and there's certain job standards you want, you can copy it from a previous job here. Copy on different types of job items. You can copy details, job standards, assemblies, job setup information, and so on. The deleting information, not going to cover all that, but there's information you can delete. Say delete job items. Again, you can delete certain things. If you try deleting something that SDS2 has created, say an actual detail, it will not let you do that, or it'll ask you if you create a detail yourself, it'll let you delete them. Okay, one thing you may need to use on here when you set up your job at the start, it asks you for approximate number of members. If you run low, it'll give you a warning saying you need to change your file sizes. This is where you would find that under general job options, change file sizes. And it'll give you a warning here saying that anybody using in this current job must exit and one person must run it. Again, SDS2, you can have multiple users putting in members into the same model. So it's telling you that everybody needs to be out before you can do that. Password options. We're not going to cover this, but this would be more for advanced for your detailing manager to set up different passwords if they want to block people out of certain things. Then special file options. I'm going to skip most of these right here. Job repository, I kind of talked about that a little bit under when you change your project. This is where you'd set that up, where you'd map out your location of your projects. Verify and fix member file. You may need to use this if you get an error on your screen as you're in the modeling or wherever and it gives you an error. You may have to come back here to verify and fix member file. And here again, all sessions or all users must exit before you can run this. And basically you leave it as the default items checked and hit OK, and it'll run through the job and fix the errors that were popping up on your screen. And if it doesn't fix all the errors and you still keep getting errors, then you should contact your support representative. User options. Under the job, the job fab selection method, last used, is what I would leave it on. Every time you open up SDS2, it'll go into the last job you were in, or it'll prompt you to ask which one to go in. Last used is probably the most common. Configuration files. Here is where you put in our case here, we're just using the detailing station. There's a separate individual stations down here, and you can put in for your menus, which menus you want it to use. In my case here, I have NTC Modeling 2015. Click on your file cabinet. Design Data has some built in. So for modeling, they have all these options here. Again, we're not using these approval station, BIM station, drafting, and so, or erector stations. We're using the full station. So they've got modeling 2015. I would suggest using that one, or if I have NTC modeling 2015 poster out there, you can use that option also. Drawing editor, same deal there. And again, if you would get into parametric modeling, which we're not going to cover, you can pull up certain menus for that. Otherwise, if you don't pick any, it's going to use the design data default. Output. This is where, if we're running reports or exporting design link, importing type things, you can, or I should say exporting model link, you can tell it where to save the file to. Right now everything's set at default. Interface. We're not going to cover all these here, but as you go through them, it's just different ways that your say here, for example, your mouse. When you pick activate a mode on your menu, it's asking if you want it to activate it, if you have to press your button, or if as soon as you enter into that icon, if it'll activate it upon entry of the pointer. And then trigger on button release, if you need to trigger it anywhere on the screen or in the button. And as you're selecting the area, traditional or directional. And again, all these options here, if you do not know what they mean, we can go down here to our help menu. And it'll walk you through. So here, point selection by area box, traditional or directional, gives you an example here of your traditional as you select it, and directional. Directional gives you the crossing. So that's the most commonly used one, I believe. Depending on what mouse you're using, most people are using a 3-button mouse with the middle button being the scroll bar or scroll. So this is where you would select that information. Keyboard information, Windows information. Windows modeling, animation, duration, I would suggest putting that at, I think you can put it at 0. Put it at the lowest possible. Otherwise it animates your screen. You can play around with that and see what it does. I think it's better to have it at 0 or 1 second. Your rulers on the side of your screens and the top of your screen will have a ruler on there if you want that for reference. Scroll bars again on the side of your screen to pull them up and down if you're using a smaller monitor and you do not see the full screen all at once. You have the scroll bars on the side. And maximize modules on startup. You want that on, otherwise you'll say like this screen here. If it was supposed to fit the screen, it'll pop up like this, and then you have to maximize it yourself. And stored Windows positions. This will reset the size and position of all non-open SDS2 windows to their defaults. This command cannot be undone, are you sure? So I'm going to hit cancel here. Then on the bottom, some other options: disable all sounds. There are certain sounds that SDS2 makes during certain commands. You can turn them on or off here. Again, some other options that will show type dimensions. Classic column location for columns, add, repeat, and plan view. Confirm adding of dimensions, confirm move stretch. And again, help menu, so let's say classic column. Gives the information here on what that does. So you can turn that on or off. And I'll hit OK, or that's interface, then we'll go to system. System you can pretty much leave as is. Site information. You can put in your organization name here. So if you're sending bug information to design data, automatically they know who it came from, so they can keep a record of that. All these here we'll leave as is. The member status items to copy repeat. When we get into the modeling portion, we'll cover this a little bit more, but this basically tells which information, as it says, to copy and repeat. So for example, if you're putting in an existing member and you had this on, the next time you put in the next member, it's going to think it's an existing member, it's going to repeat that. So that's one option you do not want on. Otherwise, you could put in the whole job and have them all in as existing, which can be corrected, but for the most part, the defaults that they have on work the best, so we'll leave them as is. Modeling. Different options here for as stuff is rotated. When you add holes in manually, it asks you if you want it to match holes or add bolts with matching holes. This is where you turn that on or off. When we add construction lines in, the default colors. Different options for dimension adjustments. And when we get into the model portion, surface depth, as you surface on something, it'll say how far in the screen and out of the screen that you can see from that point that you snap to. And same thing when you snap to a adjacent or far side of a piece of material, how far you can see in and out of the screen. Highlighting, different options here for different colors that you want things to show up as. Again, these are more preference things. And colors, same thing, they're kind of more preference. We should have covered this a little bit earlier on the background color, modeling background color, 1 and 2, and drawing editor background color. This is where you change them. and then your terrain, which we have turned off. You can set the color here. Okay, the last option is job fabricator options. There is a lot of information here to cover, so we don't have time to go through it all. What I would suggest is for you to go into this option here, job fabricator options, and hit your help button here, and then it takes you to the help button here, and go through all these options here. Like I said, there's a lot of information. This is where I say is where the brains of SDS2 is. This is where all of your standards are set up, where all your information as you put stuff into the model, when you process, when you detail your members, this is where all of your information comes from. This is the point of the job where you want to get this information set up. The best time to set up is at the start of the job, so it's all correct before you start your model. You can change options in here. Depending on when you change them, you may have to mark your model to process and create solids for all members to get certain things to change. On the detailing side of it, if you change certain things, you may have to re-detail members. So the best thing is to change it at the start of the job and get it correct. As you do more and more projects, after you have it set up the way your fabricator likes it, there's not a lot of changes to make here. So just for example here, let's do piece marking options, standard fabricator connections. We'll click on clip angle setup, and here it tells you the information that you can set up. Wide gauge 5.5 hole to hole center distance, that is a AISC standard. Narrow gauge 3.5, again a standard. So again, a lot of this information here is set up, it's a one-time deal, but for some reason, if you would want to change this stuff, this is where you would change it. So I'm going to back out of here. As we get into more of the modeling and drawing editor, we will cover some of these specific items on here. I'm just looking here to see if I could find any that we want to cover right now. No, I don't see anything right now. So again, what I would suggest is for you to, when you get done with this video, go into your project and go to the job setup, fabricator setup, go to the help menu down here and go through each of these items here just to get a general idea of what they do, and that will help you in the rest of this course.